talking about the situation and the big story in sports over the last 24 hours, which is the arrests of Chauncey Billups as well as Terry Rozier and others that are all tied into a gambling story that I think might just be the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, and that's I've listened to a lot of different things, clips from people talking about this. The biggest one I took away was Stephen A. Smith, who was very tied into the NBA, loves the NBA, commentates on the NBA. He said, fellas, I'm just telling you, this is the tip of it. It's coming. Something big is coming.
It's a Finish Strong Friday presented by 128 Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric, the company that finishes every job strong.
Oh, yeah.
128 is excited to be part of the Bring Back the Trade Skilled Expo this weekend at Gillette Stadium. It's a chance for you to roll up your sleeves and try out trades firsthand and talk to the pros. Learn more on Instagram at Call128 and have a happy Finish Strong Friday. Great event happening at Gillette. Our thanks to our good friends at 128. Go to call128.com. So if Stephen A. said that, I believe him. I think that there's more to drop with this case. I don't think we're quite there yet.
I think it's a huge tease from yesterday because it was billed as this massive thing, and they had 4 people speak at it from the federal level. And yeah, I get it all, but at the bottom of the line, it's poker. And there was you were aided in some poker games where you had X-ray machines and certain contacts, like you're connected to the mob. Okay, then once you get past that, there's something else to this, isn't there? There's got to be more. There's got to be more like players betting, big-time players.
Well,
and I think that potentially is going to be the next layer.
No, that already became the layer yesterday.
Well, yeah.
Chauncey Billups is, in the opinion of many, and my opinion, that he is co-conspirator number 8. He matches the description to a T. He is co-conspirator number 8. I don't know why he has to be labeled as co-conspirator number 8 in the Terry Rozier indictment, but he is that guy. Well, that is, I mean, give me it. You got the description there?
I have it right here.
Why don't we go through that?
He's a resident of Oregon. He was an NBA player from approximately 1997. That's the year, by the way, that Chauncey Billups was drafted.
By the Boston Celtics.
Through 2014, and then became an NBA coach since 2021, which is when he took over the Blazers.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know how many people fit that description right there.
Wow.
Who is Chauncey Billups?
So, co-conspirator number 8.
The hot dog suit. We're all trying to figure out
who provided inside information about players and about injuries. And so this case for Chauncey Billups is very much about basketball, and from a sports lens, through the sports lens, I should say, this is about basketball and less about poker. But those poker allegations are very strong. And I think that no matter what, even if you didn't have the element of the inside information with Chauncey Billups, you already have an NBA head coach who is involved in scamming money out of high-stakes gamblers. And even that by itself is hugely problematic, in that even if you didn't know he was giving the inside information, you probably assume he's giving the inside information, because how do you pay off debts?
Right.
How do you make good if you are involved in any of this gambling, or you are indebted for whatever reason to criminal figures, we'll call them, right? I mean, how do you do it? And so when you relate this to the biggest sort of name in sports gambling this generation, everyone talks about Pete Rose, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about Pete Rose and his gambling, what often gets left out is when Pete Rose wasn't gambling, what information was he providing? When Pete Rose was in debt, what was he doing in game or tipping off people about, or what was he signaling in certain games with his managerial moves? Because that's why this is tied together. Managerial or coaching moves as it relates to betting. Like, that does impact the integrity of games no matter what. Now, to get back to the Windhorse clip, he is saying what I think should kind of be obvious, and that is the NBA had to have been suspicious from the day this happened with Terry Rozier, when 30 bets were made at a sports book in Biloxi, Mississippi. One of them made at the counter. The other 29 made at an automated kiosk. It was then flagged by U.S. Integrity that day. books were taking Terry Rozier props off the board before the game was even played. They knew something was up that day. But if you're the NBA, there's only so much you can do. If you're the NFL or Major League Baseball or any sport in these situations, I think what's getting exposed here is you can sit the player down, you can talk to the player, you can try and investigate the player. How do you prove it if the player is not the one making the bets, wagers, etc.? If the coach is not the one who's actually making wagers, but it's really a matter of inside information related to something entirely different, which in the case of Chauncey Billups was apparently poker. And what do? What was the NBA going to do, or what could they do? They can't subpoena phone records from Terry Rozier. How do they do that? How do they know who their players are involved with, who they owe things to, who they're connected with in terms of information? How do they stop it? And I don't know that they have an answer for that. I don't. And so that's really what's getting brought to the forefront here.
Yeah, it's the reason it was done on the day when season tips off, too. Big attention getter. Kind of smears the beginning of the NBA season. It's not a good look. Really isn't. This happened during baseball day one. Same thing. Same thing day one football. They're waiting for it. There's more to come, boy. I wonder how many guys are crapping their pants. Like I heard Joe Murray the other night. He said, look up the Terry Rozier game against, I think it was it the finals against Cleveland or the playoff game against Cleveland?
Eastern?
Yeah. I think it was
Eastern
Eastern
Conference Finals.
It was like 2 of 18.
Yeah, I mean, there's
2 of
that
20,
too.
Like where he didn't get anything close to the rim. Turnovers galore. Like that. I think Joe had the audio from that night after he covered it saying, this smells fishy. Joe's on it. Joe gambles. See, I don't gamble. So I think the people that gamble, there's a bunch of red flags you could see if you're used to watching these games or playing the numbers the way you play them. Scary stuff from Scary Terry. Terry freaking Rozier, of all people.
Now, I do think that legalized gambling and oversight is what allowed this to be discovered. And I think that is part of this story. That now that gambling has been legalized, there have been more incidents with players. And I think people say, well, look what's happened because of the legalization of gambling. To which I would ask, do you think that this wasn't going on in the period that legalized sports betting was illegal in almost every state? Do you think that there was nothing happening? Do you think that these types of situations were not ongoing? Because they were, and they still are. And there's someone else in every league right now, whether it be a player or a coach or support staff. There are so many people that have inside information about games that have yet to be played. And if you don't think there are people in every single sport that are somehow tied to helping associates, friends, even enemies make sports wagers that maybe just provide inside information or maybe even impact the actual integrity of the game, I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy to think this wasn't going on for a long time prior to the legalization of gambling. In fact, the legalization is one of the ways in which so many cases have now popped up.
Yeah, get flagged.
Because players have been flagged. Because in 2023, you had 10 players in the NFL get flagged for violations, right? You've now got this case that was flagged the day of the event. Before the game was even played, it was flagged. They flagged it that day. There's a player on the Patriots roster, Kayshon Boutte, who was involved in some charges related to several years ago at the college level, right? I mean, why? Because these were done on actual legal platforms that have oversight. Those illegal platforms have always existed and will continue to exist. And I just think the leagues right now in the NBA, they didn't clear Terry Rozier, but they were stuck in the middle. They were stuck.
This just isn't a rogue thing. It's happened in every sport. Look at Ohtani and his interpreter. The biggest star of baseball, modern day Babe Ruth. Oh, it's on the interpreter, not me. I didn't know anything about it.
Rogue interpreter.
Way too common.
So, yeah, when Brian Windhorst says the league knew about it, I believe that. Sure. And what were they going to do? How were they able to stop it? And how does this sort of impact CBAs moving forward as it might relate to some of this stuff? Will they now have the power to eventually suspend players that are under suspicion. I think that might be something that is coming forward. I also wonder what the leagues will push for with the books and with legislation that might change how sports betting looks. And there's one thing that I think they're going to come for. The leagues, maybe legislators, that would be prop bets. Prop bets are going to be the target. There's going to be a real argument made that prop bets should go away because individual players, especially in a sport with only 5 guys on the court, and in a sport where one individual can impact the game in a major way and can impact his prop bets in a very significant way, and that's going to be something they go after. I mean, Terry Rozier could do what he did because of prop bets. Yes, he could try and help his team, tank the game. The old school way is shaving the points, right? He could do that.
A lot easier to bow out after 9 minutes, say that your ankle's hurt, and take the under.
You can do it all by yourself and keep it a secret with prop bets. That's the truth as a player. And so I think there's going to be a real push to limit, as the leagues apparently already have. Talking to Chris Mannix about it last night, that Adam Silver has pushed for fewer prop bets with the operators that they are affiliated with.
What about the live in-game betting? Meaning like, okay, this is where the second quarter's hanging out. Here's what you got for the second half. Now I could double down. I'll put another 150 on the under for the second half. Or over point totals. Because that way, like, you're halfway in. Now you're tracking it. Now you can see that maybe there's something in play. Maybe I'm trusting this guy that he is throwing this game, so I'm going to put more money down on it. There's different ways to study it, right? I'd be worried about that. The ability to adjust your bet in game. Because maybe you heard from somebody, hey, I got a take on this one that he's not going to be doing too good tonight. Put some money down. Now, why don't you put some money down on it? Then just see where the game's going. Then you could jump in on it when the live in-game betting happens. They got a problem on their hands.
But the problem is with that is point totals and results are a team statistic.
That could be affected by the individual player.
Right, but a prop bet is going to be far more direct and easier to target as something that's the problem, which
that's where you
it
get
is.
A lot more trouble, though.
Now, they could push back and say that, those prop bets, though, are how we find out that this stuff is happening so easily. Why is there money coming in on Jonte Porter prop bets right now? Okay, well, we flag it, and you find out that he's doing something, right?
Yeah.
And the issue for the league, too, is that co-conspirator number 8, a.k.a. Chauncey Billups there, is alleged to have told people that some of his guys aren't playing and that the team is tanking for a draft pick, which opens up like a whole other can of worms. Not only do you have a coach giving you inside information, but on top of that, you have an organization that is outwardly. So it's not just players not playing, but is your coach actually playing to win games? And is that taking place across the league, even with coaches that aren't betted? Like, there's just a whole can of worms there that this opens up for the league, which is a huge issue in terms of the integrity of the sport in general. We all know that teams actually tank. I get that. But to have a coach outwardly tell somebody, oh, yeah, we are tanking and we're not playing these players. Well, if you're not playing those players to tank, does that mean also in the fourth quarter, if you're up 5, you know what, we're going to take our foot off the gas here a little bit as well? Like, it's a really, really bad look and a slippery slope for the league. It is.
But it's very believable.
Yeah.
Right? It's already what we believe to be true.
Just don't say it.
And now they're just saying it.
Yeah.
So for me, it doesn't really change much when I read that part of it because I said, yeah, obviously. Now, the tough part is when you have a coach who's in on it.
Yes.
Whereas the best way and the civil way to tank a season is to just strip down the roster. Not involve the coach, not involve the players.
Yep.
But that is going to bleed over at some point, and in this case, it likely did. Yeah, none of it's a good look for the league.
Doesn't Billups feel worse, too, than a player? You can say, rogue player, Terry Rozier or Jonte Porter. Something. When you have the head coach in the NBA do it, there's something about that I think just takes it to a whole other level.
Yeah, which situation do you think is worse? Billups or Rozier?
The Billups one.
The Billups one. He's a head coach, as you said. Your take is the right one, McCone.